What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video.
Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. So today what we're going to be talking about is how Emily's pregnancy went and what she went through and how she felt through the pregnancy. Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to put the post notifications on so you get notified whenever I upload a new video.
I found out I was pregnant in June and July. I only had missed a couple days of my period, and then I remember that I told Edwin that my boobs were hurting, and that's how I kind of thought I was pregnant. And then since I work at an OBGYN office, we have pregnancy tests there, like a bunch of them. So I took a pregnancy test, and that's when I found I was pregnant. I took like 4 of them, and then they all came out positive. And I texted Edwin because I was at work and he was at work, and I told him I was pregnant, and he thought I was joking because I always joked around with him.
Yeah, I was scared. I remember her sending me the picture of the pregnancy test. At first I didn't believe her because I don't know if it was like months or weeks before she sent me the real one. She had sent me one that tested positive, but it was from a different patient, and so she really scared the crap out of me with that. And so when she sent me the real one, I did not believe her because she had joked around the first time. So then she like really was like telling me that it was real. And she also sent me like all the sheet of all the tests that they did on her that proved that she was pregnant.
And it actually showed approximately how many weeks I was. And obviously I wasn't that far along because I was barely missed my period. That was about like 3-4 weeks, barely 4 weeks. But I was definitely pregnant. And then I was scared. Well, yeah, I was definitely scared to tell my parents. We ended up speaking about it the day of. I was still at work, he was still at work. I couldn't like just leave and go have a conversation about it, but we ended up talking that same day. I think we were mostly just scared about telling our parents. Obviously my parents are very strict. They're very like old school.
Yeah.
His parents are they're not that old school. My parents had me young, but they were married before they had me. Edwin's parents, they were young as well. But obviously all the parents, they want to have their kids see get married first and then have kids, and that's reasonable. But that did not happen with us.
That was not the case.
Yeah, so we dealt with that. And then I didn't want to actually tell our parents until I knew I was okay in the first trimester, because anything can happen. God forbid I could have had a miscarriage or anything, like whatever it was. So we waited for a couple months, honestly.
We actually waited until when we could tell that Emily was showing a lot more.
Yeah.
Probably like around 5 months.
Yeah, I actually didn't show much. I actually kept the secret for a very, very, very long time.
Actually, it was 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah, my mom honestly found out because she saw my prenatal vitamins in my purse, so I had to tell her.
She took it
pretty well. I honestly, yeah.
I don't want to put Emily's dad out there, but like he was the one that was. Obviously a parent expects more from their kids.
Yeah.
And so he was the one that was more
disappointed, honestly. I think he was more disappointed than angry, and I don't blame him.
My parents they took it calmly, I guess. It's not like they were.
I think they were disappointed as well, but they were fine.
Yeah, they weren't like mad or anything.
Yeah.
My dad was just like, now you just gotta step it up and like you have a big responsibility. My mom kind of said the same thing. So we started talking about moving in together because that was probably one of the hardest part it sucks that I kind of missed most of Emily's pregnancy, because we did not live together. We were planning on finding an apartment for us to live together. Didn't work out,
unfortunately. I think that was for the best, honestly.
Yeah.
God knows why that happened. We don't question that, because everything happens for a reason. Honestly, I was glad I had my mom's support in my entire pregnancy, because I did work until the day of I went into labor, and I'm actually very proud of that, because I did work my ass off every single day. Not only that, I was nauseous for the first trimester. It was really, really bad. I was on IV fluids. I would be on IV fluids for almost, I think I went to the hospital like 2 times. I had IV fluids at my job. Actually, my job was very supportive. And yeah, basically my first trimester was just very nauseous and throwing up. I didn't gain much weight until my 2nd and 3rd trimester, and I gained about 30 pounds. So yeah, and then I was just mostly swollen from my feet, because I was walking. That's what I do most of the day. So my feet was swollen really, 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 really bad. Other than that, my 2nd and 3rd trimester was pretty good. My 3rd trimester was just really exhausting. I was really over it. I knew I wasn't gonna make it through full term, just because I was mostly exhausted and tired, and I didn't sleep for the last 2 months basically. Moving on to my last couple of days, I was having Braxton Hicks and having actual contractions. I wouldn't even let Edwin sleep. I felt bad because he wouldn't sleep because I wouldn't sleep, and he would go to work exhausted. I would go to work exhausted. I think when it fully started that I actually had contractions, but they weren't consistent, was the day of Edwin's birthday, that we thought the baby was gonna come on his birthday, because I was having like extremely bad contractions. But that didn't happen. He was born March 22nd. His birthday is March 15th, by the way. Yeah. So it was about how many? I think we
actually went to the hospital like a day after my birthday.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we went to and they released her. They said there wasn't anything. It was just a stomach ache, I think.
They said I was having contractions, but they weren't consistent, and they were just worried because I was about 32 weeks, and the baby was going to be premature at that time. So my midwife, she did not want me to have the baby that early. So she was going to stop my labor if that was the case, if I was actually having contractions. Thankfully I wasn't. It was just contractions, but they weren't regularly. And I went back home, and then March 21st.
March
21st. That was a Thursday. I was going to work.
Actually, what happened was, I woke up late to go to work, and I work with my dad, so I texted him that I wasn't gonna be able to go to work because Emily was not feeling well, and she kind of wasn't.
I never slept.
Well, she wasn't feeling good, but I thought it was just one of those regular days where she was just having contractions.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't gonna go to work, and what I did, it was raining, and Emily was like, "Can you drop me off at work?" And so that's what I did. We were on our way. Actually, it was like a couple blocks down from the house when we were leaving, and Emily was like, she was just like, "I think I peed myself," and I was like, "What?" And
that's when I called my midwife, and she made sure it wasn't one of those like contractions and stuff like that, or maybe I actually did pee myself, because I was on sleeping medications because of that, because I couldn't sleep. I had to go to work very exhausted, and you could tell by my face I was very swollen. not by my face, but mostly my legs and my feet. I had to keep my legs very elevated. By the time I came home, I was so exhausted. Not even the sleeping pills would actually make me go to sleep because I was having contractions. So she made sure that it wasn't, you know, that I was having contractions or actually did pee myself. So I went back home. I went to the bathroom and she told me to cough and to see if any liquid came out, and it did. I did have liquid. It wasn't actually much, but I did have clear liquid coming out. I was actually hoping it was gonna be like gushing like the movies, but it didn't happen that way. So she told me to go walk around. I didn't go to work that day, so I just went walking around. We actually went to Best Buy to get a memory card for the camera to record the labor and delivery. So I was actually walking around Best Buy. Everyone was walking with me. We walked a couple rounds in Best Buy.
We then went to like Marshalls, I think.
Did we go to one?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know, but it was a Walmart. I don't know, but we
went to Walmart.
We went to different stores to just walk around.
To walk around. Just because it was raining, I couldn't really walk around outside, and I didn't want to fall or anything.
Because her midwife told her to wait a couple hours and come in. If she's still like, if liquid's still coming out after, I think she said like 6 hours, to go to the hospital.
So my water broke at like 7:30. She told me to go in at 3 o'clock and to see if it was progressing. By that time, I only was 1 centimeter dilated. They actually was trying to induce my labor because I was so exhausted and everything. So they did a stretch and sweep, meaning they stretched my insides to produce. It was like, I guess, irritate my uterus. I believe so. So it can produce my labor and make me have more contractions. They did it about 3 times. I don't know if that helped, and I don't know if that was the reason why my water broke, but I feel like it did help. And so we walked, and I remember I took a shower. We went home. I took a shower. I got ready. I had my bags, his bag packed, the baby's bag, and we were ready to go. I ate before I left, and then we headed to the hospital right before 3, because we got there like at 3:20 maybe. We did want to leave early just because it was raining really hard. We got to the hospital, and we got in. They checked us in. I went to my room, and they did a swab, and of course it came out negative that my water didn't break, but I was like positive that my water did break because I know I didn't pee myself. And so my midwife went in deeper and actually went and swabbed the inside of me, and that's when she actually went under the microscope, and she saw that my water was broken. And so she checked me again and to see if I was far along, how many centimeters I was, and I was still only like 1.5, barely. So they gave me this medicine called Pitocin. That's what induces labor. So I got that medicine in me, and then that's when the fun part started. And I was trying to do it all natural. That was my plan. I definitely did not want to have any medication in me. I did not want the epidural. So I wanted to do it as natural as possible. I was very determined to do that, but I was very exhausted already because I was having no sleep for almost a month, probably, like almost a month.
Yeah. I
wasn't sleeping good. I was just working that way. I was exhausted. So by the time I was going into labor, I was already exhausted. So I had 3 doulas in my delivery. There was one that started from 3 p.m. to like midnight, to like 11, actually like 11 or 10:30 at night. And then another doula came from that time to like probably like 3
in the morning maybe.
Yeah, and that's when the 3 o'clock to like 8. Yeah. It was, my labor was very long.
For those who don't know, what a doula is there are people that work to help you. Well, I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but what I can tell, that's what it is by what they did, which is help a woman go through her pregnancy like more easy.
Yeah. In my labor.
It gives you, what they do is try to give you oxytocin.
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's basically like it helps you pass your contractions, every contraction. When I mean I was in labor for like almost 20 hours without, well, a little bit less, like probably like 15 or 16 hours without an epidural. When I tell you I was exhausted, I was extremely exhausted. But I honestly wouldn't have done it without Edwin and the doulas and my midwife. I honestly and 100% recommend a doula.
I think if they weren't there, I don't know what I would do, because it was, I tried to stay awake the whole time, but it was impossible. And
I didn't really want him to, because I know I needed him right then when I had to push. And God, like I didn't even make it to like I was thinking I was gonna push him out 10 pushes, you know, or I was gonna be in labor for, let's say, 10 hours. That was not the case for me. My labor was extremely long, extremely painful, obviously, but I was already exhausted. I wouldn't have done it without the doulas. The doulas literally motivated me, pushed me through every single contraction I had, and they kept increasing my dosage of the what is it called, the Pitocin. And I kept having, and like when I say they were so long and they were so painful, I was in was in any type of position you can possibly think of. I was walking, I was on a bouncy ball, I was in the tub for like a good probably like 2 hours. They had these nice lights around my room. It was dark. It was very what's the word? It was
kind of like a calm environment.
Yeah, like it was very relaxing.
Yeah, that's the word.
It was very quiet. There was no noise in my room. In the tub, I had very nice music, trying to relax me, trying to slowly bring the baby down. Unfortunately, it wasn't really much helping, but I was fighting through the pain. I was making these type of noises that I never thought I would make. These like really painful moaning noises.
Yeah.
But honestly, everything that the doulas did, my midwife did, I honestly couldn't thank them enough. I definitely couldn't have done it without them. I honestly thought I was gonna be very moody or like very angry, but honestly I was not angry. I was in so much peace with myself. I was honestly motivated. I wanted to make this baby come out without any medication. Sadly, around 7 or 8 in the morning, I remember crying to Edwin that I really couldn't do it anymore. And I know I was mostly not crying for the pain, but mostly because I felt like I was like disappointing myself, disappointing my son, because I really wanted to do it really naturally as possible. But I couldn't do it. My body couldn't take it anymore.
We all motivated her that it was all, and told her it was okay if she did it. She wasn't, just tell her that it's okay for her to, take the epidural if she couldn't take it. And so it was like at 8 in the morning when she decided to take the epidural, because they checked her, and she was still only 4 centimeters dilated, so it was still a low number.
Yeah, and I had to get to 10. So yeah. I honestly couldn't do it anymore. Unfortunately, I did progress. From 1 to 4, that's something, but to be in pain for 16 something hours without any medication, being exhausted, and just progressing with 3 centimeters, I was very disappointed. I was a bit angry at myself because I feel like I didn't progress at all. I honestly thought I was going to be at least 8 or something, That was my thoughts, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Not only was I exhausted, everyone was exhausted. My midwife, my doulas. My midwife literally was an angel sent from above. She was literally exhausted. She stayed with me at the hospital the entire time. She was by my leg. She would literally fall asleep when I would fall asleep for like a second, and then she would motivate me again having the contractions. It's actually a beautiful, I can't explain how amazing my labor was, even though it was so painful. I wouldn't change it for the world. It was honestly the best experience, I guess I could say.
We were blessed, though, to be honest, because doula is kind of like not a program, or a program, I'm not sure, but you pay for it, and it's a very expensive
to hire one, basically.
To hire a doula, and it's and we were blessed to that we didn't have to pay for anything. And they came out of their way to go through all that and lose their sleep.
They massaged my legs, they massaged my feet, they actually read me stories. They did everything possible. Like, it was so beautiful, honestly, and I couldn't thank them enough. And I honestly felt guilty in a way, because I felt like I was putting them through that, because I can only imagine they're losing their sleep. They're not with their families. They're thankfully they actually had that planned out. I didn't know, but they had that planned out already with my midwife. They were speaking in a group chat, planning it to see how, if my labor was going to be long, if my labor wasn't going to be long, they were going to stay there. But unfortunately, my labor was very, very long. So they had planned out who was going to do which shift. So they already had that planned out. And I was very thankful. Around 8 a.m., I'm sorry, that's when we told the doula that I needed the epidural. I was very exhausted. They all spoke to me. My midwife spoke to me, Edwin spoke to me, and they told me that I should get the epidural just because I needed sleep. I was exhausted. My face was so swollen. I didn't even know what time it was. I didn't even know what day it was. All I remember was the sun was coming up, and I didn't even know how long was I in labor already for. All I knew is I was just in pain, exhausted. So they got me the epidural. I was extremely scared. I've heard so many bad stories, so I definitely didn't want it, obviously. But my midwife, all I remember is my midwife holding me very, very tight while I was crying my eyes out. And I didn't feel the needle, honestly. I just felt the liquid going through my spine, right? It's my spine. All I remember, and it was like in seconds my legs were numb, like completely numb. And they waited to see if I had a different, waited till my next contraction was gonna come, and they asked me if I felt it, and I said no, I didn't feel anything. The only scary part about it was that I couldn't breathe, and my midwife was kind of scared because of that, because I couldn't breathe. And she was making sure that I was breathing okay, my blood pressure was okay. My blood pressure is always low, it's always been low. They say it's pretty normal, but I don't know if that was concerning for them at the time, since I was losing my breath. I couldn't breathe very well. So it ended up being like 20 more minutes, and I was okay. I was breathing fine. I think it was just I was just scared. Maybe I was just scared enough, and I couldn't breathe. After that, I took I don't even know how long I slept. I felt like I slept a little bit, but I don't know if I slept a very long time.
Yeah, but you got to rest. I think it was the best decision to do the epidural for what she had gone through since the day before, because she was so exhausted. She wouldn't have energy to be pushing. And we didn't know how long she was going to be pushing for. And so then the contractions started getting stronger and longer. Came till like 12 in the afternoon.
Sorry, guys. He got his shots today, by the way, so he's a little cranky.
He's a good boy, though.
He is a good boy.
So then came 12, and Emily started pushing.
Yeah. My mom was actually not there, so I actually texted her. And I think I told him I went to text his mom. Unfortunately, his mom wasn't.
She wasn't able to be there because my mom works like 7 days a week. So, but I mean, she still went, and she actually went around midnight. I texted Emily's mom that she was about to start pushing, and so she came.
So I was pushing for a very long time. I was actually getting frustrated to the point that they put a mirror up in the front so I can see his head. Because I kept saying, like, he's not coming out, stop lying to me. Like, I felt like they were all lying to me because they kept saying, oh, he has so much hair. I'm like, no, stop lying.
Yeah, because I was telling Emily, like, oh, he's right there. Like, I was trying to motivate her. She was, no, stop lying. Like, she was actually screaming at me. And
I didn't even scream at him until, like, literally the time that I was pushing.
And then I don't know, I think it was a midwife who decided to, like, help her by counting up to 10. So I started counting for each push. I would count, like, and
he stopped.
And then she got used to it. She wanted that. I guess it was helping her. And then there was a point where I stopped, and then she was like, just count. And then I'm like, what? Jesus. And then so I started counting, and then
I think he was like too like into my vagina, and
I was just like staring the
right inside, like in there, and to see the baby. I think he just forgot to count.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I mean, obviously to that point I could feel like you just have the urge to poop. Like when they tell you it's like the urge to poop, that's how it feels like. And like you can feel it.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew, because that was one of the scariest things I was thinking when I was pregnant, is like, how am I gonna know when to push? Like how am I supposed to know? I've never done that before, but that's exactly how it feels. And I honestly knew when to push. And I guess when you have that urge to push, that's when you're having a contraction. So I was pushing. I kept telling, okay, I'm gonna push right now, and I pushed for such a long time. Eventually, one of my doctors that I work with, she told me, it's called the crowning. When it's the crowning, that's the most painfulest thing you could ever.
Or like when the vagina is like around the
head.
Like
that's when it's crowning.
Yeah.
It feels like your vagina is on fire.
You
that's
can tell.
It's literally the most painfulest thing. I can't even explain to you. It's like you could feel it. Everyone asked me, like, did it hurt when his body came out? I don't even remember that. I didn't feel that at all. But when he was crowning, his head wasn't even big, but it literally hurt so bad. I remember I didn't scream at all. I was very very calm. All I remember is I just said, ow.
Yeah, it was
like ow,
when his head was literally there.
And I was like, I was like, what do I do? And she was like, okay. And I remember my mother was like, just push for your baby.
Yeah. And
then that's when when the baby was crowning, I was like, ow. I was like, ow. And then the baby was out. That's it.
Yeah. And Emily's midwife, she's like I can say a friend.
Yeah, she's literally like
that
family.
I actually delivered the baby myself, so I was the first one to lay hands on him.
Yeah.
It was a good, fun experience.
Yeah.
And I also cut the umbilical cord, so it was amazing.
Yeah, we're actually very blessed. Yeah, we're very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on me for like 20 minutes until he cut his umbilical cord.
Yeah, we first let the blood from the placenta go fully into his body because it has a lot of nutrients and vitamins.
Yeah. Honestly, never knew that. If I would have known that, you know, we could have done it with like my sibling. That I remember, I was there in the delivery when my mom had my sister. They cut the cord immediately. Like, I didn't know that. But thankfully my midwife educated us, and she told us about that. And the baby was on me. He was on skin to skin, and then that's when they cut the cord like a couple minutes after,
Yeah.
until the
Like
blood was
5 minutes
fully
after, yeah.
in his body. And then they took him away. They took him to see how much he weighed, and that's when I had to push for my placenta. And I was like, oh Lord, I was like, I'm not done pushing. But it didn't hurt. I didn't feel anything. They said that that was the worst part I've heard, but it honestly, I didn't feel anything at all. I just pushed for it. She said that just to push, like if I was having a contraction, and I pushed for it, and I wanted to see my placenta. They took it out. They made sure everything was intact, everything was together, and then this Edwin, my mom, and I saw my placenta. It was actually really cute. Like, I don't know if that's weird to say, but it's like little, and it's crazy how my baby was in there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how God works.
How
it's literally
works,
crazy how that thing was in my insides with a baby. Like, it's just crazy to me. And that's how my baby grew. It's honestly a beautiful experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So yeah.
I would love to go through it a lot more times.
No. But yeah, I was in labor for more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours, because we got there at 3, and the baby was born. The baby was born 3:44 p.m. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And there he is. And he's such a good baby. He's a really good baby. He sleeps through the night. He just cries when he's hungry, or he has a dirty diaper. And that's about it. That's our story time.
So that's pretty much it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, share, and like the video. And we'll see you on our next video. Peace.